Democrats. Today is Wednesday, March 23rd, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Wednesday. We'll say happy Wednesday. I have a lot on my mind today. First and foremost, it is Women's History Month, or the acknowledgement of Women's History Month. And to that end, I want to acknowledge our first female Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright. She died today. So I just want to acknowledge her and pause a little moment of silence for her death. So there's been a lot of things happening in Women's History Month that we can't let pass and that we have to talk about. I want to mention again that we are in the middle of the confirmation hearing of our first potential African American female Supreme Court justice. And I don't know if you're watching it. I talked about it a little bit yesterday because I thought it was ridiculous. Didn't realize that they could go even lower. And that's what they did today. Today, watching Senator Ted Cruz scream like a banshee over some issue that he made up. Yesterday, I said that they were trying to make videos for their campaigns. And today he proved that he was trying to make a video for his reelection campaign. He was trying to score points for his reelection campaign. What he was talking about had nothing to do with Judge Brown Jackson. It was just stuff that he wanted to talk about. He made a fool of himself and he made a fool of the process. I watch things like that, and then it makes me question my life choices. It's things like that that make people think that the political process is not to be taken seriously, because folks who are elected to represent us go to DC and lose their freaking minds. The questions that the judge is being asked have nothing to do with her fitness for the position, has everything to do with trying to paint her with a brush that they've designed, that they've picked. She is the most qualified justice that we have ever put forward. Whether she gets appointed or not, she's going to get appointed. Whether she gets appointed or not, she's the most qualified justice that we've ever put up. And they're looking for little nitpicky things, and they're hoping, and this is the part that's gross, they're hoping that we don't know enough and that we'll hear whatever soundbite that they're trying to put out there and believe the worst. Don't be fooled. Listen to the whole context of what they're saying, if you can, because it is nonsensical. It is, it's violent speak. It's shameful. Now, speaking of violence speak and speaking of shameful behavior, from elected officials, let's bring it home to Oklahoma. Yesterday, in arguing the case for abortion, and I don't understand why, if Republicans believe in abortion as much as they say they do, why they can't make a real argument, why it has to dissolve into temper tantrums and baby fits. Yesterday, while arguing on abortion, I didn't write down his name, but one of our elected officials basically called the Democratic Party the party of death. And he was admonished for saying it, told not to say it, and he said it again. He's not going to lose any committees. Nothing really is going to happen to him. He gets to say whatever he say. And that's shameful as well. He was elected to represent Oklahoma, and he's there pushing and first an unconstitutional bill, and he's pushing a bill that I have to ask, what is it that he is aiming to fix? And so I'm going to say it out loud for everybody to watch, and if somebody hits record, that's fine too. Here's where we are on abortion. Abortion should be rare, safe, and legal. Flat out. The way to make abortions, to minimize abortions, to make abortions go away, to make them rare, is to make the choice to have the child the easy choice. And the way we do that is that we educate women about their bodies while they're in school. That we make it so that the woman can afford to raise a family. We raise minimum wage first and foremost, and then secondly, we raise women's pay to a level where if they have a child, they think that they can support said child. We put childcare within reach. We make it affordable, and we make it where there are safe conditions. Um, we close the wage gap. What did I say? Close the wage gap. Oh, and access to health care. Those are the things that women take into account when they are faced with this really tough decision. And they're making decisions because they can't afford it. They live in a violent home. They're not sure they're going to have access to daycare. They don't have access to medical care. They're making the decision. The way to reduce abortions is to take that out of the equation. Make it where they're not worried that they're not going to have daycare because it's accessible and it's affordable. Make it where they're not worried about getting prenatal care because it's accessible and it's affordable. Make it where they have confidence that they're going to be able to support their family by closing the gender pay gap and raising minimum wage. Those are the things that make the decision to carry a birth to term an easier choice. And if Republicans were serious, those would be the issues that they would be addressing. Those right there would be the issues that they would be addressing. If we want abortion to go away, you make it easy for a woman to choose to carry the birth to term by making sure that her options and the options of the unborn child will be decent options that they can live through. That's what we have to do. Or we could throw a baby fit and call a whole other group of people the party of death. I mean, that's one way to do it. Or we can compare it to slavery, or we can talk about colored babies, because that's what happens in our state legislature. It's not a serious conversation because they don't believe it. I believe that that choice has nothing to do with me. I'm past my childbearing age. I'm not worried. So it has nothing to do with me. But if we don't want abortion rates to grow, which by the way, they've been decreasing. But if we don't want them to grow, what we have to do is we have to make the choice to carry the birth to term easier, because they know that they're going to have access to health care. They're going to be able to afford it. They're not bringing a kid into a violent home. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Didn't mean to talk about that, but got a little upset. Alrighty. I hope that you called your senators today and encouraged them to vote no on SB 1647. That's the voucher bill that more than 60% of Oklahomans have said that they don't want, but that our legislators are fighting for. That's going to negatively impact particularly our rural communities that don't have access to private schools or charter schools, but their education funding will be taken away, will be reduced. It's not too late. Call so that they have a log that we want them to vote no on that if they haven't already. I'm not sure if they have or not. Last thing, as I was talking about abortion, I talked about access to health care. And why this hit my radar was, one, because of abortion, but today, March 23rd, is the 12th anniversary of the Affordable Care Act. Democrats deliver. Democrats are the party who says we want to make sure that we take care of all of us. And that's what the ACA said. We want to make sure that as many people as possible will have access to affordable health care. Democrats deliver. And the way that we change what is happening in our state politically, how we change the landscape here, is by electing more Democrats. Because those are the things that Democrats care about. Closing the gender gap, raising minimum wage, making sure that there's affordable access to health care, making sure, the American Rescue Plan provided funds for affordable child care. Democrats deliver. I need you to help me change what happens here locally, what happens in Oklahoma, by electing more Democrats. And the way we elect more Democrats is to pick good Democrats to run and then support them when they run. Support them when they run and then vote for them when it comes time to election. Show up and vote for them. Turn in your absentee ballot, but vote. So it's 427, you guys know how I end this. I end this by begging you to help me find candidates that you would support, that you would vote for, that you would tell your friends that you're voting for, so we can put them on the ballot and we can change what's happening in politics in Oklahoma. Help me. All righty. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow at 4:15.